Good afternoon. Thanks for being here. My name is Ben Glassman, and I'm the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Ohio. Joining me here at the podium today are Todd Wickerham, the Special Agent in charge of the FBI Cincinnati Division, Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost, Franklin County Prosecutor Ron O'Brien, Columbus Police Chief Tom Quinlan, and Sloan Spalding, the Chief of Staff for Ohio Auditor of State Keith Faber's office. And we're here this afternoon to announce the arrest of and federal criminal charges against Andrew Mitchell. Mr. Mitchell has been on the Columbus Division of Police Force for 30 years, and in March of 2017, he was assigned as a detective to the Vice Unit. According to the allegations in the 7-count federal indictment that was returned by a grand jury here in Columbus last week and unsealed today, however, Mr. Mitchell abused that authority. According to count 1 of the indictment, in July of 2017, Mr. Mitchell, while under the guise of an arrest, picked up a woman, transported her to another location, and then exchanged for her freedom in exchange for oral sex. According to count 2 of the indictment, in September of 2017, Mr. Mitchell picked up a different victim, also under the guise of an arrest, transported her to a different location, and exchanged her freedom in a trade for vaginal sex. And then in late spring of 2018, according to count 3 of the indictment, Mr. Mitchell picked up that second victim again, transported her to a different location, and in exchange for her freedom, traded anal sex. I mentioned that it's a 7-count indictment. Those are counts 1, 2, and 3. Counts 4 and 6 allege that Mr. Mitchell, having become aware of the investigation into his activities, tampered with witnesses, 2 different witnesses in counts 4 and 6. And then count 5 talks about yet another witness that Mr. Mitchell attempted to obstruct a federal grand jury investigation regarding his conduct with that witness. And then the final count, count 7, alleges that when FBI agents spoke to Mr. Mitchell in September of 2018, he lied to them. Specifically, they asked him whether he had ever had sex with a prostitute, and he denied it several times. Although, as he knew then and there, he had sex with prostitutes, including having paid for sex himself. Now, the charges that we're announcing today are the product of an investigation by the FBI, BCI, Columbus Police, and the State Auditor's Office. This investigation is open and ongoing, and in a moment I will turn the podium over to Special Agent in Charge Wickerham, who will give information for anyone out in the public who has information related to Mr. Mitchell, whether as a victim, a witness, or otherwise, how the public can assist us in this investigation by providing further information. I should say, though, that this is just an indictment that we are announcing here today. So an indictment sets forth allegations. It's not itself proof, and Mr. Mitchell is entitled to the presumption of innocence unless and until the United States proves him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law.
The Division of Police has cooperated throughout the investigation and supports the actions taken today by the U.S. Attorney. I want to address our community and our officers. The community has every right to be disgusted by the news, as well as anyone who wears this badge. We take an oath to obey the Constitution and laws of the federal, state, and local government. This officer will be held accountable, but I ask for the community's continued support for the 1,900 officers who work hard every day to honor our profession. Thank you.
So I commend all of the agencies that you see here today for their partnership in this investigation, and I commend Assistant United States Attorneys Jessica Kim and Kevin Kelly, who are prosecuting the case on behalf of the United States. I should have mentioned at the outset that the charges in this indictment expose Mr. Mitchell to a possible maximum penalty of life in prison. And with that, I will answer any questions you might have.
What is Officer Mitchell's status within the division right now?
So Officer Mitchell, as you know, had been relieved of duty last fall and is now in federal custody. So he was arrested and is in federal custody, was arrested without incident this morning, and as of, he made an initial appearance at 1:30, at which time he was detained pending a detention hearing, which will be on Wednesday.
How do you regain the trust of people who may be untrusting of officers to begin with, who may provide information, who might be helpful out in the streets, but with something like this happening?
Well, as the chief said, and as Attorney General Yost said, the overwhelming, and as I said at the outset, the overwhelming majority, 999 out of every 1,000 police officers is heroic. They do an incredibly difficult job, a dangerous job every day, and we rely on them to protect us. That's why when you have an officer who is committing a crime or is alleged to be committing a crime under color of law, that's why it's so important that we work together to investigate it and actually bring those charges. So I hope that people see that these charges are being brought. The fact that these charges are being brought in federal court, I hope will give people confidence that law enforcement is working for them, and that if there is any particular law enforcement officer who is abusing the power of that office, that that person will be held accountable and brought to justice.